Dana Bash allowed former Vice President Mike Pence to get away with a dangerous fib. I mean, many are asking questions like, why, if the economy is doing so much better, inflation is low, and on all these other issues, why are Biden's numbers still so low comparatively with, let's say, Donald Trump and others who haven't had these types of successes? One of the reasons why is, in fact, reporting, and may I say, incomplete or invalid reporting. Mike Pence did that today with the war in Ukraine. I mean, I believe we need to do something about the war in Ukraine that's different than Biden, but to make the assumption that somehow Biden is doing anything out of the norm any U.S. president has done in wars like this, and specifically to give the impression that Donald Trump's administration would have done any better is nothing more than wishful thinking, and put it bluntly, not the best form of reporting by allowing folks like Mike Pence to get those notions into the mindset of others. Check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side.
Let's turn to Ukraine. You're the only Republican presidential candidate who has visited Ukraine. President Biden says the U.S. will support Ukraine for as long as it takes. Do you believe in that? Do you stand by that pledge? And would you if you were president?
Well, I think President Joe Biden has done a terrible job explaining our national interest in Ukraine. I mean, I know he said we're there as long as it takes, but frankly, it shouldn't take that long, Dana. I mean, this administration has been, not surprisingly, dragging their feet on providing military support from early on. They cut off the military aid that we had been providing to Ukraine under the Trump-Pence administration in the early going. And even after the initiation of hostilities and the unconscionable Russian invasion, the administration has been slow in delivering armor and delivering munitions, and still hasn't given permission to provide aircraft and F-16s from our allies. So Joe Biden gives these gauzy speeches about democracy in Ukraine. Well, look, we're there supporting them on a military basis and supporting their soldiers for the reason that I believe if Vladimir Putin overran Ukraine, it wouldn't be long before the Russian military crossed the border where our men and women in uniform would be called upon to go and fight and defend. NATO. So to me, making that clear that that's our national interest here. And also, I think giving the Ukrainians what they need to repel the Russian invasion, I think is the best way to send a message to China that America is the leader of the free world, and we're not going to tolerate either Russia or China should they attempt to do so, to redraw international lines by force. This is all about America being the leader of the free world. And if I'm president of the United States, we're going to lead from American strength.
Now, let's be clear here. Mike Pence pretty much lied when he said that the Biden administration cut off assistance to the Ukrainians, and for that reason, somehow that had an effect on Ukraine. Let's be clear here, because we should understand this. The White House froze $100 million worth of defense spending, or whatever you'd call that, for Ukraine for one specific reason. Russia had not yet invaded. To prevent a pretext of the arming of Ukraine to starting the war, they put it on hold. They never stopped it. Nuance is important. They never stopped it. It was a tactic used to see the merits of what Putin was doing. Now, as far as Donald Trump is concerned, let's remember that Donald Trump withheld $400 million of military aid to Ukraine during his administration under the pretext of Ukraine giving up info on Biden. In other words, he wanted Hunter Biden and Joe Biden to somehow look as if they were doing something illicit in Ukraine. And to provide that sort of evidence, he held back on $400 million, for which he was impeached. And somehow none of that came out in the interview with the vice president, when the vice president made the accusation that had Biden released the $100 million, a very small amount, somehow that would have averted war. And this from also the party that has been for some time now singing the praises of Putin and talking about Putin being a strong leader and democratic leaders like Biden and otherwise not so much. Let's allow truth to reign. Come on, Dana, come on.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number one, subscribe to our channel. And number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.